Hi, good evening and welcome to this meditation. Today is the 27th of July. I'll be meditating today. It's a meditation that was actually prepared for our church here in the Basque Coast to exhort the brothers and sisters to follow Jesus as we approach the middle of this summer. And then it's going to be what we call a rentrée, which is a very important time in the French calendar when the children go back to school and life go back to normal. So as I prepare our church for that, as we meditate in the Gospels and then in the second book of Corinthians, I would like to share this meditation from French into English for you. Matthew chapter 10 verses 37 to 39 says, "Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me," I lost my text. Sorry, I got it back. Trying to make it larger. I'll start again. "Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." It's actually very strong, and lots of messages of Jesus, they were so strong that he was emptying his church. I heard it in Brazil once, and Jesus' messages sometimes was emptying his church. Like John chapter 6, when Jesus tells the people who are following him that they had to eat from him, that he was the bread of life. And his whole message, like most of his messages in the book of John, that message after the multiplication of the bread, that message was all around himself, his person. You have to eat of me, drinking of me. And then they were not prepared for that. And they said, "My goodness, this message is too hard." And they left him. Only 12 of them were left. And John says later that one of them was actually an enemy. And Peter is going to say something that it is extremely important. From time, he raised his hand when he had an answer, and most of the time his answers were not good. But this one was really good, because Jesus asked his disciple if they were not going to leave him. And Peter says, "Lord, to whom should we go?" That's the right answer to give, isn't it? To whom? He's not saying where, but to whom. Because Christianity is all about the person of Jesus. That's why Paul says, as he was teaching the Ephesian church, he said to them, because they learned these different heresies, these wrong things, and Paul says to them, it wasn't that way that you learned Christ. It doesn't say you learned of Christ. You learned from Christ, but you learned Christ to himself. You have to learn Christ. Let's read a bit more. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 29 to 21. "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be too." Where is your treasure? Is your treasure the blessings that you came? Some people go to church to get the blessings, but the biggest blessing you can have is Jesus. Jesus didn't heal you. That's not a problem. The big problem if you haven't got Jesus in you. Lots of people healed by Jesus when Jesus was living here on earth, but not all of them received eternal life. Not all of them followed Jesus. Most of them said, "Crucify him," at the end, and then they abandoned him, like they did in John chapter 6. They said, "This message is too hard," and they all left. Colossians chapter 1, verses 1 to 4, "Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things, for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Search the things from above. Your life is Christ. Don't set your things on things from here, because Paul says that the visible things, they'll pass away. But the invisible ones, they will remain forever. And he's talking, of course, about Christ. Christ, the Alpha and the Omega, the one who gives you eternal life. He is your life, he's saying here. So search those things from above. Set your mind, he's saying, on things from above. And sometimes you have to give up certain things, as Romans chapter 12, verse 1 says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, a holocaust, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. True and proper worship comes from the word logicus, which means it is logic. It's like when you're walking on a forest here in the Basque Country, when you're visiting the Basque Country, and you hear this cow on a tree singing. You have to wake up. That is a dream. Or maybe you are in the Lord of the Rings, Alice in Wonderland, or Narnia, but you're not in the real life, because it's not logical. A cow on a tree is not logical. Paul is saying here that it is logical that you offer yourself to God in view of his mercies for you. God has been merciful for you. So your answer to him is, I offer myself up to you. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 23, Paul says, and you are of Christ. You belong to Christ. God bless you.